Songwriter Trysts is all about connecting with like-minded people by building relationships with those who are on a similar mission. Because when we work together, we are stronger and we have more fun. This is a bonus episode where we get to know other people in the industry and go into detail about other essential parts of what it takes to get the song from the songwriter's head to playing on your phone.
Perfect, baby, in every way. You're perfect. You're perfect, baby, and you make me wanna.
All right, welcome to a bonus episode, Friends of Songwriter Trysts with BennyGregs. Thanks for joining me.
Hi. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
This is fun. I just love what you're doing in Melbourne and with people all over the place. So I'm going to get you to start in your own words to introduce yourself and say, who are you and where do you come from?
Yes. So my name is Benjamin Gregory. Lots of people know me as BennyGregs. I'm from Melbourne, sunny coronavirus Melbourne, and it's one of those things, isn't it? And I run a business, a creative business in Melbourne. So we work with artists from all across Victoria. It's in 3 different sections. So when I first started, the first section was in photography and videography, where my background has come from. And then we moved into AV services, which is about live staging and production, lighting, sound, and then now into artist sessions and events, which we work with over between 300 and 400 artists from across Victoria, giving and promoting live music and collaborations and events and experiences for them. So it's a lot more in depth than just that, but that's sort of in a nutshell, as well as being a musician myself and have some very exciting projects on the way. So
it's such a vital thing that you're doing. Like, being an artist myself, I know how important it is to have good sound, good lighting, it makes the hugest difference. Like, if the sound is terrible and people can't actually hear you or hear what you're saying, or the guitar's drowning out your voice, or, and it's such an art form, like, it's so complicated.
Correct.
I hate having to do those solo gigs where I have to do the sound myself, because I know that I haven't got that ear for that sort of stuff.
There's so many elements of sound. I mean, I have a brief understanding of sound, and my tech team are incredible at it. But when you go in there and look at the different layers and how many effects can go into it, and the all about your EQing and your lighting, it's amazing how even smaller things in any sort of show can make such a difference to production quality. Even if it's just like dimming the house lights in a venue and putting a single spot on someone from the side, you can create such an atmosphere with lighting and tech. And it's the difference between, like, an artist can be a storyteller and can tell stories and can perform so well, but as soon as you then you couple it with incredible audio, bit of reverb and some amazing lighting and some atmosphere, your story just doesn't go from just being this sort of performance. Your performance doesn't go from just being a flat performance. It goes into then being a story and something visually people can really relate to and connect with. So
exactly.
there's such an importance there.
Oh, it's amazing. And it's one of those things that, like, it makes such a huge difference. And I wasn't aware of it. It's not something that you think about. I think especially if you're a fan watching the show, you're not going to think, oh, I love the lighting, and
unless you're me.
Yeah, unless you're in the industry, it's just not something that's in your vocab,
you sit,
it's a skill.
And you sit there and go, literally you walk into a venue and you go, this environment is amazing. It feels so well. It's just great.
Yeah.
But there's so many elements that go into these, and for upcoming artists and anyone that is performing, putting on a show or event or a production, like, when we sit down with them, we're like, have you considered this? And like, they were like, we didn't even know there were so many different elements in an event. I went, that's why you get someone like us in to sit there and really sort of build that creativity and to really foster your idea all the time. And even if we don't, then we just make something so creative that it looks like we still are. So part of the joys.
Fake it till you make it. I love it. And you said you started doing the visual stuff really young. What actually drew you? Like, was there something that happened that you were like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you found out you're really good at it? Or what happened? How did that start?
It's one of those stories. I think when I was born, here we go. So I was obviously born, and my mum always used to take me to musical theatre shows when I was younger. So I would always perform and like sing on my bed. I was a horrible singer. I was about to say something else then. I was a horrible singer, and I'd always come home from watching a musical theatre show at 4 or 5, and then go into my Lego room and build the set and the show out of Lego.
Oh,
anyway,
that's
I'd perform it, and I'd put like torches through it, and I'd make spotlights, and I'd get incense and make a smoke machine. I'd go completely nuts, right? Not just the average kid that just plays with Lego. I decided to create a whole electrical circuit around it, and then I found the knack of music. I've always loved music and being surrounded by it. So when I was 10, I got this app on my iPad. I had to do a little sit-down seminar to my mum and dad and be like, if we get this iPad, it's not just going to benefit me, it's also going to benefit you. And then we sat down and I won the iPad. I had that debate. So got an iPad and I started DJing for my family's party. So this is when I was 10. I had my iPad and I'd be playing like Party Rock Anthem for my cousins at $20 a party for 5 hours. And I was like,
wow,
mate, at 10 years old, I'm living the life. I'm earning bulk cash, right? Yeah. And absolutely love it. I'd dress up in clown suits. I'd play games with them, and every bit of money I got, then I invested in some some extra lighting from the $2 shop, and I'd go pretty crazy. You know those hexagonal lights that are always at the $2 shops? Those ones that are like $50, and they're like the iconic lights that have been in every $2 shop in all of Australia. Yeah, I bought some of those lights.
I loved lights when I was a kid.
It's the best thing ever, and now it's just grown to something completely ridiculous, isn't it? But I, as a young kid, my mum would always used to video me, and I'd be like, "Oh no, I want to see it. I want to video you." So when I started doing the parties, I'd then get my phone or camera. I don't know what I was using back then actually, and would start videoing people and put a little production together. Yeah. And I used to make little short films and shows and sit on a green screen and pretend I'm, the news reader. And I'd keep doing that. And every bit of money I saved up, I bought a camera when I was about 11. And I just started shooting at school. I went to Assumption College in Kilmore, amazing school, and I started shooting and taking photos and videos and started doing lots of stuff for free. Yeah. I got lots of opportunities in high school to then connect with photographers, and then I got given these opportunities, and then I'd just go and ask people all the time, can I come and shoot for you for free? Can I do this? Yeah. And then eventually someone said to me, how much do you charge to come out and take photos? Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't even know how much I charge. So I think I charged a ridiculous amount for 3 hours. I was like $35. Yeah. And that's where it started. I mean, it's amazing how much when you put yourself out there for free and you get a portfolio up. Yeah. I think by the time I was 14, I reckon by the time I was 15, 16, I shot the Grand Prix, the Australian Open. What? But this was all just from me asking and getting opportunities and not being paid. Yeah. So when a client would then come to me and go, well, you've shot all these events. I'm like, yes, I have. And that's literally how you build up your portfolio. Yeah. During that time of me being at school too, I went to Assumption and I was pretty disappointed because at primary school, I was like, I'd always do the AV and the tech for the assemblies. And I got to Assumption. They're like, until you're in year 9, you can't do that. I was like, damn. So I got home and mum was like, you know what, Benny, you're, it's probably a good thing. Focus on your school studies. Anyway, the next day I went to the principal and wrote her a letter, and him a letter at the time. And I said, hi, I'm Ben. This is my CV from coming out of year 6. I really want to be a part of all the creative stuff at Assumption. Yep. And since then, leaving Assumption a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was the founder of so many events, productions. I got funding for all our music department. I did workshops. I traveled kids everywhere. We put on large shows. I taught them about sound, lighting, AV, from everything that I learned through my time of learning, and
it's crazy. And
then it kind of just grew, and here we are. I mean, there's other avenues in terms of the artist networks, and when I started radio at a young age too, and had my first ever Gartler event, and I think it's all about. I think the motto of this story and my rambles of me being a kid, I think, is just my parents are the sort of parents that if they would ever say no, they would justify why they would say no, and they'd be like, you can do it if you want to, however, this is what would happen. Yeah. And this is why. Yeah. And until I think sitting down and when they explained everything to me, whenever I'd come home with an idea, they'd be like, it's your choice, Ben. However, let's just quickly sit down and just look at the pros and cons. They never, ever say no to me.
Right.
And I think that was the best thing as my parents. I mean, it's different for an adult to just be frustrated and be like, no, you can't do that. And the kid's like, why? You just can't do it. Whereas my parents sat me down, and my dad still does it. My mum passed away a year ago, bless her soul. And my dad sits there and still goes to me, Ben, all right, have you weighed up your profit and loss, Ben? Have you done this? And I'm so thankful and privileged to have two incredible parents that just understood and didn't put limitations on myself and let me do whatever I did and let me make those mistakes. Let me be in a bit of debt. Let me undercut myself just so that I could understand and learn the value of money and life and hard work. And I think everyone says to me, how are you like you are today? And I honestly am like, my mum and dad taught me some of the best lessons I've ever learned in my entire life, and I'll keep them with me for the rest of my life. So.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, you sound like a child possessed with passion, which is adorable. My son actually started his own first business. He's 8 years old, but he started his first business when he was 7. During lockdown,
Yes.
He built a lemonade stand.
Oh, you know what? It's initiative. And when parents look at me speaking like I'm 35 and I have kids. I like when parents foster like child's creativity. Like the most creative part of anyone's life is when they're a kid, and no one puts limitations, and no one says, you're not going to make it in life because you're an artist or you're creative. And it's only until you get older in life people say, oh, are you going to get a real job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I didn't listen to you guys, and look at me now.
Look at me now.
Because of my passion, and it's all driven by passion and determination. If you want to do something, no matter what your score at school, no matter what you do, you know what? If you're dedicated, you're passionate, and you're committed, you can do whatever you want.
I agree. I think I always had that mentality of if I do things every day that I enjoy and I make choices based around the things that I enjoy, then I'll have a life that is fun and that I enjoy. Like,
Correct.
It
100%.
based on that daily stuff.
You don't work.
No.
You don't live a day working. I still find it quite weird, the fact that I wake up every day and I'm like, oh, I'm getting paid for having lots of lunch breaks and sharing my advice and
lots of fun.
And filming, and like it just literally feels like I have the best social life in the world, and some occasionally money just rocks up in my pocket and it's like, oh, it's cool. I have to pay my staff now.
But you're inspiring other people and actually providing opportunities for other people to be better at what they're good at, that your clients, their ideas, and helping them actually put their best foot forward, which is absolutely amazing. But then also hiring people, and it's incredible.
Even seeing that though with my clients, I like, if I haven't done a good job, if I've done it wrong, tell me. Like, don't like sit there and be like, what have I done wrong? Let's chat about it. I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to help you out. I want to help myself out. I want to help my team out. And all of my creatives that I bring in are all like-minded individuals, teenagers, younger kids. Like, it's all about fostering and giving them opportunity, because I went, you know what? I had to work hard for my opportunities, and it's amazing when I did get an opportunity. It's amazing just how that one opportunity could just set me up and give me those skills. So now I have an incredible team. I will, I spend more money than I make most of the time because it's all about just giving back to people. Even if I don't need something done, I'll still pay someone to get something, to edit something, and to sit there and teach them or to send them away on a seminar. Like I invest so much money into staff and into people, because I literally go, my upbringing was so amazing, but I worked so hard, and I only wish there was someone like me in my life to also just give me that little heads up and boost. But then I was like, you know what? The fact that there wasn't has mean that I'm able to give this opportunity to so many other people. So
I see so much of myself in you, and like I'm a little bit older, but when I was in high school and primary school, I was always, getting to school really early and staying till 5 p.m. and being just a massive servant, and just wanting to be involved and wanting to help. And it is probably weird now that I look back at it. I'm like, geez, why wasn't I just a normal kid?
But then what is it? Like I said, what is the definition of a normal kid though? Do you know what I mean? Like this day and age, I think we get so consumed in that, what is normal and what is not normal. But I think being at school, I would always spend my recess and lunches in time because I got to a point where I was so different from my school. I would go. I'd everyone's a bit of a sheep at school, and I'd walk away from the flock. Is that the flock? Do you call it a flock of sheep?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. And I'd walk away from the flock, and I'd get really bullied. There'd be so much that would come from it. And I had this conversation the other night with my team, and I said, I had like quite severe anxiety to leave the room. I'd wait till everyone went to classes before I'd walk outside, and I'd always just keep myself indoors because I felt so judged and so separated from my classmates. Yeah. However, I look back now and go, far out, me spending that time focusing on myself and slowly pushing myself, and now to the point where I don't really care at all what anyone thinks of me. I hang around with the best and most creative and most unique people that do not give it doesn't matter things. It doesn't matter about anything. They're just themselves, and they don't please anyone. When we go to dinners, they're not trying to be fancy like that. I mean, they've got the best manners in the world, but we sit there and we laugh and chat, and we'll have conversations with the people at the places that we go to, because life is too short to sit there and worry about what other people think. Absolutely. I mean, it's just a waste of time.
And it's hard because when you are growing up, most kids are searching for identity,
Correct.
Searching for what makes them special. And you clearly found your passion at a very young age, which is such a gift to be able to have that. And that would have been so intimidating for all of those other kids that didn't know what they were or where they fit in the world. And that was kind of the feedback I got after I left school, because I was the weird one that just didn't care what anyone else thought. I was like, well, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to cure cancer, and I don't care what you're thinking. But very, very ambitious, passionate, hardworking high school student. But it was after school finished and I'd see people at parties and things, and they'd sheepishly come up to me and go, do you know what, you were so confident in high school, it was intimidating. Like you just seemed to know what you wanted and who you were.
People still say that. You know what I mean? They go, you could be quite like, it's intimidating that you know where you want to go in life. And I went, you know what? I said, you've done an amazing job at your life. And I said, learn not to compare. Learn to just sit there and be like, you know what, I'm happy with my life. Do you regret not making the change or not pushing yourself and being one with the crowd? But then I say to a lot of kids that, you know what, it is totally normal to be in that environment and to be like that and to want to fit in, because school is that place where you're learning about your identity, as you said before, and sometimes you want to fit in, you want to make friends, and you think it's the be all and end all. But as soon as you leave school, I can promise you that your perspective, and you'll look back at the last couple of years and be like, you know what, I should have probably just not given a crap about that, because you look back and see how irrelevant school is. But at the time when you're in there and you're young, you think that school is the be all and end all, and that's just a normal thing to people, and that's just life.
And even with like scores and marks that you get in certain classes, it can be like, you have to get certain grades to make it, and you have to get a certain job or a degree. And it's I guess it's the way that the world has worked for such a long time, and it's such an old system.
Correct. I think it was, when was it created? It was created in like the Industrial Revolution. This is the only part of history I ever remembered. And it was like, that's where schooling was. It was just to give everyone the same skill sets to get a trade. Yeah. And to work in the Industrial Revolution. You know what? Anyone that does history are going to be like, Ben, that was probably incorrect. But,
probably. I'm not going to correct you on it. That sounds good to me.
That's all it was, and it's still the change. Like, I mean, we've adapted so much as a culture that you think the schooling system would kind of change a bit more.
Yeah, well, I think they could definitely benefit from some more emotional intelligence and psychology teaching in high school, that's for sure.
Just real life skills. I mean, how to pay a bill. How to lodge a tax return. Yeah. Where is that at school?
Yeah, that's I still don't know how to do that. I mean, someone does it for me, but it's all mystery magic to me, that stuff.
Correct. And it's so difficult, don't mind you. Just, just keep them doing it, because when you have to do it yourself, mate.
I think the rules just constly change with tax. It's not, I think they purposely make it hard so that all those accountants have purpose. I think it is like, it comes down to every human being, no matter how old you are or where you are in life, you need validation. You need to be seen. Correct. You need to feel heard, and you need to feel like you're needed and have purpose. And I think by what you're doing, creating community provides that outside of family environments. Family can only do so much. And I always say that family they build the buttons that they then push,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
make us who we are, but we need inspiration and connection outside of the family unit as well. And it's beautiful to see
Correct.
communities coming up that are supporting the arts, which is absolutely amazing.
It's incredible. I think a community, BennyGregs is a community, and we get rid of the ego. I will bring someone's ego down to back down to ground level, because I go, don't come into this community with an ego.
Yeah.
You come into this community because you're passionate,
Yeah.
you're artist, you love what you're doing. And with every event that I do, I think anyone that's a part of BennyGregs could really vouch the fact that it's loving, it's a family environment, and I've created this atmosphere that's all about support and love and community. And I think when people have that community, which I wish I had when I was younger,
Yeah, me too.
it would have made me feel safe and secure. But it's also an opportunity to push your boundaries and to collaborate and connect, and not be afraid to voice your opinions, because that's the most important thing.
Absolutely, it's amazing. I feel like you've just said it, but I was going to say, do you have like a vision or a mission for your company and where it's heading and what you're going to do with it, what you want it to do?
I think every day my vision for it changes. I mean, my ultimate goal is to have Australia-wide this community where everyone is able to connect and know each other, and they can come to these events not feeling nervous about who they're performing to or the crowd that they're speaking to, and just coming knowing that they are who they are. They love themselves for who they are. If I can quoting my mum, they're safe, happy, and healthy, and they genuinely love them. They love myself. I love themselves. I mean, I still wake up. I don't do it as much because it's easy to forget sometimes. But I wake up and will look at the mirror, especially after my mum's passed away, and she was incredible. She taught about self-love and help kids with anxiety and help cure and help people with cancer to just live their life. And one thing she taught me, she's like, Ben, go look in the mirror in the morning and just say 5 things you love about yourself, because sometimes you don't realize how important you are, and how much you need to sit there and just appreciate you as a person. And I think everyone needs to do that, because I do that, and I look at myself in the mirror and I'll be like, far out, you've done a good job. And it's sometimes hard. You kind of just you're so driven in moving forward and creating community that when you step back and look at yourself in the eyes and go, you know what, congratulations, I've done a good job.
It's important to celebrate the small things. I've definitely been my most worst critic in the past.
Yeah.
But it is good to have self-compassion and actually, reflect on, hang on a second, like I have done this stuff. And especially when I think about, how other kids were in high school and stuff, I'm like, wow, I really did do a lot. I didn't see it at the time because I was always harsh on myself and expected more from myself. But learning self-compassion and self-love is a skill, and it's not something that the world teaches.
No, it doesn't. And I'm very lucky that I got taught that with my mum, and she's a pretty incredible. You see me, and then I'm like the quarter of what my mum was in terms of a person that made a difference in the world. And you see, I sit there and go, I was very lucky that I could spend time with her during COVID when she passed away, and she had a bit of a battle with cancer. And I think having also gone through that as a kid, I sometimes sit there and go, in a way, I wish that more teenagers had an opportunity like this to understand the meaning of life and to understand the meaning of independence. And that my dad never did anything in terms of bills and finances and managing. He was always the hands-on, and that's why my mum worked and my mum and dad worked in harmony. And I've had to look after everything and cook, clean, and bills and look after some properties. And you sit here and go, wow, you don't understand how much your parents do for you.
Oh no!
Until you're missing one. And the skills that I've learned, and what I still wouldn't change anything in my life at all. I wouldn't change. I wish I could spend more time with my mum, but I wouldn't change my life right now, because as my mum said to me before she passed away, she said, Benny, you just have to get on with life, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've had 18 years with you. You just have to sit there and foster everything and make the most of your life.
Yeah.
And for a mum to tell their son that when he's 19, 18. Sorry, wow, far out. I keep getting my age.
Right.
When I'm 18, and for a mum to tell their son that when she's 3 days off passing away and just saying, Benny, just get on with life, you know, I'm always here, is the biggest thing ever. And if your mum tells you to do that, you got to do that.
Yeah,
and you got to push on with life. So
there's lessons. It sounds like she's taught you to have passion and love for yourself and for the people around you, and that's
correct.
The greatest lesson.
The best lesson you can ever learn.
Absolutely. I love you so much right now, and your mum. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, she's a beautiful person.
So tell me this one, and it may be something you've already said, but what would you say the best advice is that you've ever been given?
The best advice. Well, I've been given lots of great advice and lots of shit advice. Can I say shit? I don't know if I can. Anyway, you can blip it out. Anyway, I think the best piece of advice I've been given, or that I've fostered myself, there's been a couple. I think Mum's great advice that I got given was the fact is, like, don't put limitations on yourself and don't let others put limitations on you. You're a judgment of how far you can go and what you'll and how much you can achieve, and don't let anyone sort of say that you can't otherwise.
Yeah. Because they will also try to if you let them. They will say it.
Correct. Yeah. And I think also my dad goes, his best advice is just think and really analyze before you do something.
I love that.
And he's see what I mean? He's such a practical man.
Use your brain.
Use your brain. And you know what? It's so hard to sometimes overlook using your brain, because you jump into situations and you go, you know, actually, if I had sat down and thought about this 5 minutes, I probably would have had a better outcome now.
Yeah. Like skydiving.
And then also,
probably should have
correct.
Done
that. And then when you get to, I think the best piece of advice still to this day is the fact that do everything. And it's a very vague term, but if you want to do something, just do it.
Yep.
And figure it out along the way.
Yeah, and explore, try things. You don't know if you don't like something until you try it. Like, I've got 3 kids.
Correct.
And, you know, they're such fussy eaters. And, like, every single time we sit down to dinner and they've got vegetables on a plate, it's like, I don't like it. It's like, you've never tried it. Just
correct.
Just try it.
Try
you might love broccoli.
I mean, my parents was very lucky to travel, and I think I tasted most cuisines and cultures. I think I went to the point where I was snails and toads and crocodiles and kangaroos, and so my palate is bit refined. Anyway, but the best, honestly, the best piece of advice still is, you know, do stuff for free, put yourself in there, out there, collaborate, just do everything you want to do. I mean, my English teacher told me that I'd never write a book.
Oh, thanks.
And
what great inspiration.
And because I was really bit interesting at my spelling. I still can't spell, mind you.
I'm dyslexic, so no. Yeah. Podcasting works great for that.
You don't have to type anything. Yeah. And look at me, like now I'm opening a foundation for my mum and writing a kids book with a great friend. Amazing. So I mean, if you want to do something, just do it. Yeah. And just anyone that listens, and if any young kid listens, like, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or contact any one of my team. And if you want reassurance, I'll send you a voice memo and I'll tell you how good you are and how you can achieve great things if you put your mind to it. And, you know, that's the best piece of advice I could probably give to anyone is do things for free, put yourself out there, collaborate, but know who you are, and also have, you know, a lot self-love and respect you and your services and the person that you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And
I was waiting for like the Oscars music to start playing me out.
Yeah, man. Your speech, your acceptance speech.
No, thank you so much. I'm like my managers. Anyway,
it's like one of those things though. Like, just because you're not great at spelling, like me, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't work with someone who's great at spelling.
Correct.
You know, I'm a songwriter, but I'm not the greatest at lyrics. I'm a melody and hooks person, and I come up with the bit that gets stuck in your head, and that's my strength. Yeah. And then when I work with someone who's really good with lyrics, we're like, oh, bam, it's like an amazing song comes out. Collaborate. If you're not great at something, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you need to find the right partner to help you achieve what you're doing.
Correct.
And Man, teamwork is that's how the dream comes out.
It makes the dream work.
Yeah,
isn't it? Teamwork makes the dream work. Don't be uptight. Like, no one likes someone that's uptight. You might think that there's not enough business to go around or there's not enough work to go around, but I can promise you that
there is.
Like, to anyone out there, there's so much if you're willing to just go out there and find it.
Yeah, there's always room for you to be you. Don't try and be somebody else.
Correct.
Because that's already taken. Be yourself.
You should put that in your Instagram bio. That was a really good quote.
Okay.
That was great.
Thanks.
Actually, really great quote. So when you look it back, make sure you put that in your Instagram bio because that was great.
Okay. All right. If you could go back and talk to yourself when you were just starting out as a little tacker DJing at family parties, what do you think you would tell yourself now that you maybe wish you had known then?
You know what? I don't think... The only thing I would have told myself was be like, Ben, don't worry about those people in high school.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would have said. I wouldn't change anything in my entire life because I've honestly had I've had the best life ever, and it hasn't been because we've had money. I mean, we're just an average family. It's genuinely been because we've made the most of everything.
Yeah.
And no matter, we'd go out for picnics to the local park, but the amount of love and the amount of like memory that I have for all of those moments is just incredible. And I just tell myself to be like, don't be afraid just to walk out there, because sometimes a lot of the stuff that you think is all in your mind too. The anxiety and, people still go to me, you've had the perfect life. How can you know what anxiety feels like? I'm like, well, I've gone through a lot that people don't know about. And I've gone through a lot in my life that have spanned. And, no one knows until you have that conversation with them. But I look back and be like, yo, Benny, sit there and just go with it. Walk outside. Don't be afraid of what people think. Just really make the most of it. Because believe it or not, those kids still will talk to me now and be like, wow, I wish I was like you when I was at school, when I was at high school. And it's not until you leave school you realize that, there's so much you could have done because you're just scared of being judged. And, that's probably the only one thing I'd tell myself. And yeah, genuinely, that would be the only thing I'd tell myself, because my life has been I've lived it to my fullest.
Well, it sounds like you've been surrounded by the perfect people that you needed to have at the right time, and a few angels.
Always, besides years 7, 8 and 9. But other than that, I've honestly been surrounded by I can't put into words how my community is and who I surround myself with every day. And my team members aren't just my team. They're literally... They are members of my heart and my family.
That's so beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay, and just on a side note, if you could collaborate or work with anyone in the world, have you got like a secret wish list or?
Ellen DeGeneres or Celine Dion.
Oh, okay.
So those two. It's Ellen DeGeneres. I see a lot of myself and my qualities in terms of I give back a lot. Unintentionally, because it makes me feel good. Like people, it's very weird thing to say, but kids my age, teenagers my age, has a very common association with drugs, and they use that to make them feel better about themselves and to feel happy, which is, I understand that, but I also sit down and be like, I wish you had the opportunities that I had, because then you'd realize that there's so many other outlets. But I give things for free, and I do things, and I invite people over, and I have events, and I have dinners, and I do this stuff because making other people happy makes me happy, and giving back makes me happy. And I see myself if Alan and I, or James Corden and I, did carpool karaoke, or we did a skit on that to Alan's show, mate, I feel like I'd vibe there so well. And Celine Dion, because I have a lot of memories with Celine Dion and with my mum, and the music that I as a kid, and she's a storyteller. And you know what? I occasionally been in the moment in the shower where I've been like, ladies and gents, welcome Celine Dion, and just pictured she walked out on my stage and be like, you know what, I've made it now. I think they're those three people, but they all harness good qualities, and they're all genuine. They all love themselves for who they are. They foster the qualities. They love themselves for who they are. they're kind, they're generous, they're funny, they're compassionate, and they're just themselves, and they don't let anyone change it. And that's what I think, that's why I resonate with those three so well.
Yeah, and what great people to look up to. Absolutely. I've actually I've only ever missed one aeroplane flight, and it was because I got distracted by the Ellen show in the airport lounge. And I checked. I didn't even see that. I didn't realize the time had passed, and I checked my watch, and I'm like running down the airport. I'm like, no.
It's amazing, Ellen. It's just funny. It's just stupid, but it's so funny because it's just laughs. It's just humor. It just brightens up your day. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about how shitty your day was. It's about moment and enjoying that time, just watching that show.
Yeah, and you know what, there's a time and a place for everything, but life is too short to take it too seriously. And I think if you can have a good sense of humor and have fun with everything you're doing, and just care about people and yourself in the same way, you're going to go really far in life, and you're going to enjoy life. And no matter what happens, if you just carry those ideas in your heart, I don't know, the most amazing things will surprise you. And
100%.
Yeah.
And, honestly, 100%.
Amazing.
Can't agree more.
Is there anything else we haven't covered? Because I think I've asked you most of the questions.
There's so many things. See, I could sit here and talk for days because I just love talking about myself sometimes. Too much other.
How can people get involved with your community? Tell us that.
So they can get in touch with us via social media. So BennyGregs. BennyGregs is the business sort of at BennyGregs, or you can just type it into Google at BennyGregs. Just type in BennyGregs in Google and it comes up everywhere. It's great. Yeah. It's cool. And or at BennyGregs Official, which is my Instagram account. Just literally send us a DM and send a voice memo, send a video. Like we're very active. We'll speak. We don't really text at all. We speak quite a lot, and I will genuinely FaceTime you. If I don't know you, I'll send you a FaceTime on Instagram and have a chat. Yeah. And it's just because we lose. Sometimes we lose and don't understand how people's personality comes across during text.
Absolutely.
And you can read someone so much better when you're on the phone with them and having a conversation. So
I'm the queen at pissing people off via text message. I don't know why. It's a skill. Like, I'm slightly autistic.
Everyone thinks I'm so blunt.
Yeah, me too.
And when I've met some of my team, when I first met them, they're asking another team, like, is he angry at me? And they're like, no, that's how he speaks.
That's just how he speaks.
Yeah, not angry. I just don't have time to text. Like, if you give me a call, mate, you'll get exactly what you're hearing now, plus more, because I'm probably I'm vibing to some Celine Dion in the kitchen cooking. And, I think that's the biggest thing. So just like reach out, collaborate, come and connect, and don't be afraid. Like, literally, don't be afraid to like talk about and say that you're part of other businesses and be open about that and be like, Benny, I love what you're doing. You should really collaborate with this person and this person. That's why we're here today having this conversation too, because we connected on social media and the connection between yourself and what you're doing and what I'm doing. I think we can really draw a connection to that and
absolutely
and get some artists on here and to share stories and to collaborate and it's all about sending that DM, and you'd be surprised that when you send that one DM, what comes from that.
That's exactly right. You just got to do it. I think someone told me if there's 1% chance that something will happen, then you should do it. Even if it's only a 1% in a million chance. Yeah, it's like, just go for it, because
send it.
Opportunities will come your way. Anyway, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your passion and a little bit more about who you are. I'm going to put all of your contacts and links and business stuff into our website and in the description of this bonus episode. And so people can contact you really simply by going to the website, checking out our friends of Songwriter Trysts, and hopefully connect with you via socials and get involved.
100%.
It's going to be great.
100%. And thank you so much for having me. It's been great. I've absolutely loved it. Loved chatting to you, and thank you for allowing me to be on here. And what you're doing and your team is pretty incredible. So I'm excited to collaborate, that magical word, and see where we go from here. But yeah, honestly, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
We're only stronger together, hey?
Correct. 100%.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
This has been a bonus Friends of Songwriter Trysts episodes with BennyGregs. If you would like to sponsor or be a part of the show as a friend as well, or as a songwriter, please go to our website, songwritertrysts.com.
Spinning, but my life is stuck, lost in